Imagine, just for a moment, that tomorrow never arrived. It's not because something terrible happened. It's just that today was all there was. Would you still rush through your morning? Would you scroll? That small disagreement still feel important. Strange how often we treat today like it's only a bridge to somewhere else. Monday is for Friday, winter is for summer, work is for retirement. We're always travelling towards a life we promise ourselves we'll enjoy later. But imagine there was no later. Would your coffee taste different? Would the sunset hold your attention a little longer? Would you hug someone for just the second more? So maybe the value of today has never depended on how many tomorrows are waiting. Maybe today has always been enough. Just forgot to notice. Imagine if every ordinary moment was quietly asking, will you remember me? Because one day, whether it's tomorrow or many years from now, there will be a final, ordinary day. The only question is, will you realize how extraordinary it was while you're still living it? Imagine if you woke up tomorrow and nobody knew who you were. No job title, no followers, no qualifications, no reputation, no past, just you. Who would you be? Strange how much of our identity lives inside other people's memories. They remember what we did, what we said, the mistakes we made, the successes we celebrated. But imagine if all of that disappeared. Would you still laugh at the same things? Would you still chase the same dreams? Would you still care about the opinions of people who no longer knew your name? Maybe we spend too much of life trying to become somebody instead of discovering who we already are. Imagine meeting yourself for the very first time, not through achievements, not through failures, not through expectations, just as a human being. Would you like that person? Would you be proud of how they treat others? Of how they spend an ordinary Tuesday? Perhaps the most important name you'll ever live up to isn't the one everyone else knows. It's the one you quietly answer to when nobody else is watching. Imagine that money never existed. No coins, no bank accounts, no prices, no paydays. Just people trading skills, time, and trust. Would success look different? Would we admire the richest person or the kindest, the wisest, the one everyone could depend on? Strange how a piece of paper or a number on a screen can decide how we feel about ourselves. Imagine meeting someone without knowing what they earned, what car they drove, where they lived. What would you notice first? The smile, the curiosity, the way they treated other people. Maybe those were always the things that mattered most. Imagine a child asking, what is money? How would you explain it? Would you tell them it's something we created to make life easier? Would you quietly wonder if somewhere along the way we started serving it instead of it serving us? Don't get me wrong, money matters. It gives us choices, security, freedom. But imagine if tomorrow it disappeared. What would still be valuable? Your family, your friends, a sunset, a laugh. So So maybe the most valuable things were never for sale. We just forgot they were already ours. Imagine that from tomorrow, nobody could ever lie again. Not one little lie. Not even "I'm fine." Every word completely honest. Would the world become a better place? Would it become much harder to live in? Strange how many lies are told. To protect feelings, to avoid arguments, to spare someone's heart. Imagine hearing exactly what everyone thinks. Every opinion, every disappointment, every fear. Would you really want that? Would you miss the kindness hidden inside someone's silence? Then again, imagine a world where nobody could cheat, nobody could deceive, nobody could pretend to be something they weren't. Trust would mean something different, wouldn't it? Perhaps the real question is whether lying is right or wrong. Maybe it's this: how honest are we with ourselves? How many dreams have we quietly given up on while telling ourselves we'll do it one day? How many times have we smiled when we're hurting, convinced ourselves that we didn't deserve more? Maybe the hardest lies to recognize aren't the ones we tell other people. They're the ones we whisper to ourselves. So imagine, for just one day, you couldn't lie. Not to anyone, especially not to yourself. What truth would finally be heard? Imagine you could sit down across from your younger self. Not for long, just 10 minutes. What would you say? Would you warn them about the mistakes they're about to make? People they'd trust who shouldn't be trusted? The opportunities they'll almost miss? Would you stay quiet, knowing that some lessons can only be learned by living them? Strange. When we're young, we want life to move faster. Can't wait to grow up, to have freedom, to make our own choices. Then one day we'll look back and wish we'd slowed down. Imagine your younger self looking at the person you've become. Would they recognize you? Would they be proud? Would they smile because you never gave up? Would they remind you of dreams you quietly left behind? Maybe we spend too much time trying to become someone new. And perhaps the person we needed was always inside us. Still curious, still hopeful, still believing that almost anything was possible. Imagine standing up to leave your younger self. Ask one question: was it worth it? Or would you answer? Would that answer change the way you live tomorrow? Imagine that tonight before you fall asleep, someone whispers you can live today again. Same sunrise, the same people, the same conversations, exactly as they happened. Would you be happy? Would you wish you'd done something differently? Strange. We only notice the weight of a moment after it's gone. Conversation you could have listened to better. A hug you ended too quickly. A laugh you barely appreciated because you thought there would always be another. Imagine living this day again. Would you put your phone down a little sooner? Would you look up a little more? Would you tell someone what they truly mean to you? Would you realize that today was already enough? Perhaps life was never asking us to have more. Perhaps but simply asking us to notice more. Because if today was placed in front of you for a second time, it wouldn't feel ordinary anymore. It'd feel like a gift. Maybe that's the strange thing about being human. Spend so much time wanting another chance when all we've ever really had was this one. So imagine if tomorrow morning you woke up and discovered this wasn't another day, it was another chance. Would you live it any differently?